Now, the mortal remains of Naveen Shekharappa, a medical student who died in a shelling attack in Ukraine, arrived in Bengaluru today. Chief Minister Bommai also arrived at the spot to pay tributes to the late student. A fourth-year medical student in the Kharkiv city, Naveen, was killed when he ventured out of his bunker to get some food, water and exchange money on March 1st. The store from where Naveen went was just 50 meters from the bunker. Remember, earlier on March 13th, Prime Minister Modi had directed authorities to make all possible efforts to bring back the mortal remains of Naveen. Also, his family has now decided to hand over Naveen's mortal remains to a private hospital in Karnataka's Davangere. And the visuals on your screens as well of the mortal remains of Naveen Shekharappa, a medical student who died in a shelling attack in Ukraine. The mortal remains of the late student have arrived in Bengaluru. And visuals of Bommai as well, who arrived at the spot to pay tributes to the late student. Remember, Naveen was killed when he had ventured out of his bunker to get some food in Ukraine. And the incident, the tragic incident happened on March 1st. And it was on March 13th that Prime Minister Modi had directed authorities to make all possible efforts to bring back the mortal remains of Naveen. And Naveen was the first Indian student to have died as a result of shelling in Ukraine. The incident happened on March 1st. The store from where Naveen went was just 50 meters from the bunker where he had taken shelter as a result of the airstrikes by the Russian troops. And Modi, PM, had directed the authorities to make all possible efforts to bring back the mortal remains of Naveen. And now the family of Naveen has decided to hand over Naveen's mortal remains to a private hospital in Davangere. The visuals on your screens as well of the family members of Naveen who have arrived at the airport as his mortal remains arrived earlier today. And the family there paying tributes to their late son who died in a shelling in Ukraine. Going across to my colleague Sagai, who's been standing by with all the latest. Sagai, we can see the visuals on our screens, of late Naveen Shekhar, who died as a result of shelling in Ukraine. Take us through some details as to what is next on the cards, because what we are told is that the mortal remains of Naveen will now be handed over to a private hospital.
Yes, the family has decided that they will be giving his body to SS Hospital in Davangere, where they have clarified that his son wanted to serve in the medical field. Unfortunately, he couldn't do. So at least by using his body, the student can learn a medical education, and it might be for some use in the medical hospital. And today the mortal remains had reached around 3 a.m. in Bengaluru. Following that, it was being taken in transition to Rani Bennur, where his residence is there. And there, from morning till evening, they will do all kind of Veerashaiva traditional rituals which they have to follow. Following that, it will be kept for a public viewing, and after that, his mortal remains will be handed over to SS Hospital in Davangere.
Thanks, Sagai, for taking us through all those details. We'll come back to you for all the updates. So the visuals on your screens as well of Naveen's mortal remains, an Indian medical student who was studying in Ukraine. He died as a result of shelling by the Russian troops, and now his mortal remains have arrived at the Bengaluru airport, and Chief Minister Bommai also there paying his rich tributes to the late student.